Hey everybody, and welcome back to Alfred's Basic Adult Piano Course, Lesson Book Level 1. This video is Lesson 66, and we're going to cover page 74 in the book today, the F major scale. So this is the third major scale you're learning in this book. You've already learned C major and G major. Both were similar in some ways. They both had the exact same fingering, but the key signature was a little different. C major had no sharps and flats, which means you played only white keys. But G major had one sharp, which was F sharp. So you did have that one black key, the F sharp. Well, F major has a flat, B flat. Now, if you're wondering why does it have a B flat, does it just sound good? Yes, it does sound good. But there's a more technical reasoning for that, and that is the tetrachords. Remember, we talked a little bit about the tetrachords on the other two scales. You don't need to know tetrachords to do well in music or to play these scales well, but it does explain why scales are built the way they are. This really breaks it down for us. Tetrachord, if you recall, is 4 notes, and those 4 notes are joined together by whole step, half step. As a review, a whole step would be one key, well, a half step would be one key to the very next key, white or black. So F to F sharp is a half step. E to F is a half step, but F to G would be a whole step. I've skipped a key right in there. So F to G is a whole step. G to A is a whole step. A to B flat is a half step, and I just played the first 4 notes of the F major scale. So remember the rule for tetrachord: whole step, half step. Let's say I've never played the F major scale in my life. I didn't even know about that B flat, but I know my tetrachords. Well, then you could figure it out, actually. You start on F, the obvious note, because it's F major scale. So the rule was, go up a whole step, that takes you to G. Go up a whole step, that takes you to G. Go up a half step, that takes you to B flat. Now to get to the next tetrachord, because the scale is made of 2 tetrachords, you have to go up a whole step from this moment. So the 2 tetrachords are joined by a whole step. So from B flat to C would be a whole step. See, B flat to B is a half step. We want to go up a whole step. So B flat to C. Right here is where I'm beginning my second tetrachord. So again, that B flat to C was in between the tetrachords. Don't count it as one of those whole steps in the tetrachord. Now we're on our second tetrachord. So from C, I'll go up a whole step to D, a whole step to E, and then a half step to F. So again, using that rule, you can figure out every major scale there is without knowing the key signatures. It's really pretty cool. Most pianists, though, don't really use it a whole lot because most pianists just end up learning all their scales. They memorize them, they memorize the fingering, they memorize the key signature. So in the end, there's not that many major scales to probably have to rely on this. In fact, I wouldn't. But again, it's kind of cool to know because it breaks it down and explains where that B flat, for instance, came from, as well as all the other notes. All right, so diving into the F major scale on that page, we're going to start with the left hand. Now the left hand, we're going to start on F, of course. Here's middle C. Now we're not going to start on this F below middle C. We're going to go another octave lower. We're going to take our 5th finger on this F. All right, so now we know the notes of the F major scale, but we're still, well, kind of. This is still kind of new for you. But as we go through the notes here, we're going to go through the fingering. Now, the fingering for F major was the same as the left hand for G and C. So that means you're starting with 5 on F, then we're going to go 4 on G, 3 on A. Now, this is important, 2 on B flat, remember, our B flat, and thumb on C. Now this is also important. You're going to cross to the 3rd finger on D. Not 2, not 4, but 3 on D. Why 3 on D? That's so we can end with 2 on E and finally our thumb on F. So you want to end with your thumb on F. If you end with your 2nd finger on F, you crossed over with the 4th finger. If you don't end up with anything on F, you cross with the 2nd finger. So the third finger on D is very important. The hardest thing about scales is the fingering, specifically the crossovers, even more specifically, not the cross unders with the thumb, but the cross over the thumb, because then it's a question of, what finger is it? A lot of times you have to memorize this, but it makes logical sense, because if it's 3 on D, then yes, I landed with my thumb on F. Now going down, we're gonna start right here and go down. So thumb on F, 2 on E, 3 on D, cross under. Now crossing under is not hard because we know it's gonna be the thumb. There's no crossing over at this point, that's awkward. You have to memorize when and where to cross under. So don't keep going to the 4th finger. If you go to 4 on C, you're gonna be feeling it, because 5 on B flat's awkward, thumb under B flat can't happen. So it's all logical. Thumb on C is where you cross under. And then just continue out. 2 on B flat, 3 on A, 4 on G, and you should land with 5 on F. If you don't land with 5 on F, you didn't cross at the right time. So the important crossings are when you go up, 3 on D. When you come down, see, when you come down, it's the same fingering, but it occurs at a different time where you change it all. 3's already on D when I come down. Then I gotta take my thumb under C. All right, so you need to practice that a lot. And of course, getting used to the B flat, because, you know, new key signature, B flat. Now in the right hand, we're gonna start with our thumb on the F right above middle C. Now in the right hand, the fingering's different than the keys of C and G. For the F major scale, you will not use the 5th finger. That means when we get to the top F here, we're gonna end with 4, not 5. That might feel a little awkward at first. You might say, oops, I messed up. No, you didn't. In the right hand, you will never use the 5th finger. Go ahead and commit that to memory. No 5 in the right hand for F major. So we're gonna start with thumb on F, 2 on G, 3 on A, 4 on B flat. Then our thumb comes under C. And then 2 on D, 3 on E, and 4 on F. So the pattern is basically 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, cross under, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when you come back down, 4 on F, 3 on E, 2 on D, thumb on C. Crossing over is always the one that's sort of questionable. Is it 2, 3, or 4? It's gotta be 4. And that's a stretch, that 4 on B flat. But it works because 3 on A, 2 on G, we end with thumb on F. So again, if you didn't end with your thumb on F, you probably crossed with the wrong finger or at the wrong time. So for the right hand, remember, going up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Coming down, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sounds easy when I say it out loud, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But the crossovers and the cross unders and the B flat, all those little things to contend with. So take it slow. Eventually, like I've said in the past, probably with scales, you want it to be smooth and even. You want it to be at a pretty good pace. Now it's going to take a while to get to that point, even hands separate. So don't be afraid to break it up. Don't be afraid to pause when you get to a cross under. I'd rather you pause and take your time and do it right. Think about it. Likewise, it's good to maybe start at the top and come down. You don't always have to start at the bottom and come up. You can always practice coming down. I think that's something people should do more often. Start in the middle of the scale, start at the top and come down. We always start at the beginning. Well, a lot of times coming down is harder. That's where the crossover is. So by the time you get here, it's a waste of time to go all the way back here. So get in the habit of also starting at the top and coming down. You'll use your time, your practice time more wisely. So eventually, like I said, smooth, even, fairly good pace, but for now, you know, practice very slowly. At the very bottom, you see both treble and bass clef there. They've written it like maybe we should play them hands together, but we're not. I think in the past two scales, C and G, we could play them together. The reason for that is, and this is contrary motion, by the way. So the right hand at the bottom is going up and the left hand's going down. If you're going opposite directions, that's called contrary motion with your scales. With C major, you know, we started on the C's, and the crossings occurred at the exact same time in the same fingers, not the same note, but same fingers. And that made it very easy to coordinate. With F major, it's not, because remember the right hand fingering is a little different. The B flat throws things off a little bit. So it starts out the same, but the left hand crosses before the right hand, and then the right hand crosses. So obviously it can be done because I'm doing it, but I've played and mastered these scales for years. So as a beginner, I wouldn't even do that. So it says play only with hands separate, and I'm pretty sure that's why. So don't worry about that. If you want to try it, that's great. Don't feel like, oh, I can't get it. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. It's very hard, and you don't need to do it at this stage. So work on the hands separate. The big takeaway from F major, B flat, B flat. The scales are great. I love the scales. It's the foundation for all the music. It's basically, when you play the next piece, Little Brown Jug on page 75, the notes of the scale are pretty much all the notes in this piece. But the B flat is what it comes down to. Learning that F major has a B flat in it. So when I see the key signature, I see one flat, I'm automatically thinking B flat. Now, before we end today, it could be in the key of D minor. D minor is something we won't get to for a while, but every major key also has a minor key that has the same key signature. But regardless if it's major or minor, that one flat is always B flat. So when you see a key signature and you see one flat, you don't even have to look on the line and say, what line is that on? Is that a B? Yes, one flat is always B flat. And F major always has a B flat. Doesn't mean the key you're playing in is F major. Like I said, it could be D minor. But in our next lesson, yes, we are playing in F major. So get very comfortable with the F major scale. Of course, you can go on to page 75, the next lesson, Little Brown Jug. You're going to want to keep playing not only this scale, but your other scales as a warm-up. I would suggest as a good warm-up, at least 5 minutes of warming up on your scales before you start practicing pieces. I think that's about it. All right, so I wish you luck, and I will see you lesson 67 very shortly.